Welcome to the ice cream interviews, Henré Pretorius.
Thanks for the ice cream on a freezing day. I appreciate it.
10 o'clock in the
10
morning.
o'clock in the morning ice cream. Shall we have our first bite?
Have a first bite. 10 o'clock ice cream in the morning.
Oh,
it's
great.
good for when you're 10 years old.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Ice cream is never a bad idea. Never a bad idea. And it's good ice cream. So, how are you, my friend?
I'm brilliant.
Great. Good to
Very,
see you.
very good.
Good to see
I
you.
haven't seen you in ages.
I know you moved to Harold's Bay.
I'm
a bit jealous, but it's a good move.
Yeah. Thanks for meeting me in the lovely Melkbos
Great.
Strand. You're on my list of people that I want to talk to about the importance of being authentic in life and just being yourself. I've known you for 20 years. Did you know that?
Yep.
No, you didn't. You forgot about it.
I know now. I know it's a long time. You stop counting after 15 years, to be honest.
What are you busy with? What are you up to? I mean,
I live in Darling. I have 3 boys, 15, 13, and 11. I'm married to a wonderful woman, working internationally for a client in the sport agency space. I travel a bit throughout the year, so go to a variety of countries, Asian market, Saudi Arabian market, a bit of UK, the US. So yeah, life's good.
any acting?
No,
Nothing at the moment.
no.
Just golf.
Well, sport.
So what exactly do you do? I mean,
So I work for the social and content team in the marketing department of these events. So we produce content for tournaments, specific tournaments, and we promote those over our channels, either paid or organic social or LinkedIn or YouTube, whatever the request from the campaign team would be. So yeah, I produce content for sports events.
you're also someone that's, I mean, when I think of Henré, I think of someone that's a steadfast the right word, but one of the most level-headed friends that I have.
Yeah.
One of the most trustworthy friends that I have.
Thank you.
You know, those are all compliments. So you should thank me.
I mean, steadfast, level-headed. It's been a.
You're always the same. It scares me sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't go through big highs and lows. I'm
Yeah.
just like always the same.
You're like always
You don't
the
know
same.
what's going on inside.
Yeah.
Ivan. Okay.
What meds are you on? What meds are you on?
No, I've always kind of been that kid from an early age. I've always been, if I had to compare myself to my brother was kind of more I was always kind of treading the line of being the golden son, doing the right thing. My brother was almost a bit more all over the place, a bit more risky, a bit more naughty. It doesn't always mean that you're 100% in control of who you are. I think you're always a little bit all over the place. I've also got kids, so you try and be a good role model as far as you possibly can for them.
You mean you want to be out of control, but you can't.
No.
You're not allowed to anymore.
No, it's the responsibility of being a parent, I guess. There are certain things you have to be, and you're also in a way kind of fighting your own demons when you raise kids. I think you're at the mercy of knowing that they're always looking at you, and you're the example for what they might be as an adult. So you're always aware of even the shortcomings of your own parents. You go like, oh, maybe I should unlearn that from myself, because otherwise I'll just carry that over to another generation. I'm not saying my parents didn't do a great job, but knowing that, okay, that didn't serve me very well. And I would like to make that choice of not repeating that into another generation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, being steadfast, what does that mean, really? To be steadfast, to be solid, to be...
Yeah, it means that your house is on the proverbial rock, you know, that you can be wild, but certain things should be so solid.
Yeah, a friend of mine always used to say, my dad said, like,
Moral values, I think what we put in through our eyes, in our mouths, into our ears, I mean, those things, you should sense, you for yourself should censor those things, you know?
yeah. No, 100%.
But then your biggest adversity was in life was probably losing your brother.
Yeah, I think that was a catalyst for a lot of things, because your life is pretty great, you know. It goes, your things are working out for you, you're working on your career, things are going well, you're making money, you've got a family, and then the things that you aren't really in control of start happening, or I guess the universe starts throwing a few things in your direction. Yeah, I mean, you're just not ready for that. You don't plan to lose a brother to cancer at 30. So it's, you also just become a parent. So you also got this life, and then you've got death happening at the same time, you know?
Yeah, nothing is forever.
No, of course not. And
it's like a mountain burning, you know, especially in South Africa, you know, when the fynbos burns, it grows back better than what it was, you know?
Yeah,
or is that...
I mean, losing someone to cancer is, and anybody that's watching this and has gone through that can it's like it's like comparing it to a burning bush, is that it burns and nothing you do can stop it. You know, it's sometimes you're lucky and it works out for you, and you know, you're lucky if that person makes it through and they've still got some time with you. But that was just like kind of fighting a losing battle for a year, and watching someone that had so much life, you know, become nothing, and then losing and saying goodbye to someone in that stage where they they have to be put into a coma so that they have less pain.
Yeah.
And then having to say goodbye to someone without having to be able to speak to them.
Yeah.
You know, and watching them just kind of disappear. It can't prepare you for, nothing can prepare you for that. But it doesn't matter what people tell you,
yeah,
or what they've gone through. Yeah. Is when you experience it for yourself. It's like, yeah, and then,
you know, it's so strange because we're so interconnected to each other all over the world. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
I'm probably going to repeat this quite often in chats similar to this, but we are so interconnected with each other and so responsible for each other, and it's like a one consciousness, one love. And it's amazing how someone suffering, like someone with cancer, becomes your suffering and then shapes you. Do you understand what I'm saying? That someone else's suffering can, you know, becomes your suffering, and then that shapes you. And how did that shape you as a human being, and where you are today, and being who you are, and being the steadfast, absolutely reliable, trustworthy friend to everyone? I mean, it's the one person that I've ever met that goes like, yeah, Henré is an arsehole, or Henré likes...
I'm sure there's a few people that have said that. I'm sure that you're just not talking to the right people.
Maybe not.
No,
maybe not. But because you're pretty authentic. I mean, you don't try to be someone else. You inspire people. You do. How did your suffering? So in other words, what I'm saying is your brother's suffering became your suffering, and that suffering shaped you into being more authentic, or, you know what I'm saying?
I think in a way, and it's been, I mean, how many years has it been? 15 years since his passing, and I still deal with a lot of stuff from that. It's one of those things where it's numbed, but it never really goes away, because you're always looking at like, I'd love to have like my son, like my kids, or like my eldest, he loves playing guitar and he's exploring music production on his on his PC. And my brother loved music, and I look at them and I go, it would have been great if he was around to see this or kind of produce stuff with them. But I also know his energy is around in a way with them and with us and around us. It's just
because we're spiritual beings.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I think what happens is that we don't really understand death. Like we don't understand that there's actually quite a lot more after death, energy-wise, than what we can explain. And I think
dimensions.
That's probably the thing that I've understood, is that our energy never really leaves us or the people around us. They're always around us in a way. They're always kind of supporting us, always leaving subtle clues or messages or things. I see a little bit of it in my kids too. I think. I mean, I made a massive decision when my brother died, and then just a few years later, my mom got cancer, and I probably made a bit of a harsh decision to just like leave everything and be there for my parents, because I think it was a tough thing for them to go through, especially for my mom, for someone to then actually get cancer from heartache in a way, right?
Yeah, because those things manifest.
Yeah, of course. Of course, and it's.
I mean, I've got a brother that's got a serious form of Parkinson's, and it's all childhood trauma that's manifested into.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
into
of course.
that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that hasn't been dealt with.
Yeah, of course. And I think that, like making those kind of decisions, you look back and go, yeah, maybe it was a bit harsh or a bit quick, or I didn't think it through. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I felt I should have done. And it changed the trajectory of my life from living and staying in Joburg, having a pretty good business, running pretty well, to just giving it all up, coming to Cape Town, kind of that business and my focus kind of falling apart.
So you sold the Ferrari and became a monk.
Well, I'm not a monk, but it came with a lot of sacrifices, and I kind of made it a lot difficult for myself. But I also realized that you have to make choices in your life for that phase of your life, and that phase will pass, and then you move on to a next phase that might be a bit more, less about caring for other people and how they feel, and maybe a bit more about yourself and finding yourself and going through and rebuilding a bit of yourself, which I'm sure you can also attest to. So that you have these moments in your life where, I guess let's call it a chapter. It's like a book, and it's got a chapter, and that chapter is now business related, and I'm making money, and this chapter is for my family, and this chapter is to deal with grief. This chapter is to, I don't know, a new relationship. That's probably what made me a bit more steadfast, if that's the right word, or more, is that I've realized that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And every kilometer you have to take as it's presented. Is it uphill? Is it downhill? Is it a straight piece? Is it just you on your own? Is there a bunch of people around you? What do you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't even see it as a marathon. I see it. There's no beginning. There's no end. Us as humans,
you will die.
Sure, but you into that chapter.
Yes.
But then you transform or transcend into the next spiritual way of being, who no one knows what that is exactly.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So how important do you think it is to be yourself, to actually do a constant to check in on yourself constantly, so that you know that you are moving towards your true north? And what is the effect of that on the rest of society and the people that surround you, in your opinion?
It's like a deep questions. Well, I think to be yourself, you have to know yourself first. And I think a lot of people don't know that yet. So people think that they know themselves and they know what they want and who they are. But if you're spending all your life looking at porn, doing drugs, having a lot of different relationships, can you really know who you are? Or are you just maybe numbing yourself and pretending to know who you are?
And running away from yourself. Through addictions, yeah. Because those are all addictions, man.
Well, exactly. It's like but that's also our reality. Is like, what are you keeping yourself busy with? Are you spending some time alone in nature? Or are you spending all your time playing games and in front of a TV and on your screen? Or are you healthy and do you move your body, or do you just sit and veg and eat chips and burgers and drink Coke? Or do you, like, what are you consuming to really understand who you are? Because that's just, as you mentioned, that's just stuff that numbs your senses and probably puts the wrong stuff inside your mind and your body and in your soul. So I think to answer your question, you have to first know who you are. And I don't think a lot of people do. I'm still discovering who I am.
It's hard work.
Because it's also, it's work.
It's hard work. You can't go ride the epic or something if you don't train for it. Same thing with joy. You can't live a joyful life if you don't work. Mind, body, soul. Each of those aspects you need to work at on a daily basis.
Yeah, for sure. It's of course easier said than done. It's a lot easier to
It's discipline. It's routine.
Yeah.
We all. I do believe we all need that in our lives. You know.
Yeah. But to answer your question, you have to know who you are first, and that's also it's also an ongoing work in progress, in my opinion, because you are presented with challenges in your life, which might ask a few questions from you, and then you go, oh, actually, I didn't know that that's how I would react, or I don't, why am I feeling anxious about this work relationship, or this person that said this to me? What is that bringing up in me? Why is that triggering me? Because that's, but in a way, also kind of what guides you is like what triggers you, what makes you feel safe, and asking yourself questions and growing through that.
So the three things that you do constantly to get to know yourself, what would that be? Because I think that's the tricky questions. And a lot of people go like, but how do I get to know myself?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I have the answer for that, because it's also something that I'm still working on.
Something that you do. Because I see it as, and I'll probably repeat this quite a few times, I see it as a little rabbit hole. You open up that rabbit hole, you go down that rabbit hole, and then it just becomes this massive, all these tunnels. And if you're committed and you're disciplined, then you're going to spend the rest of your life in this rabbit hole, discovering yourself and discovering other people, the way you should treat other people, rediscovering it again, because you're going to go through it. But you verstaan wat ek bedoel. It's just, you're going to go like it's like take the red pull or take the blue pull. let's go, you know, and look for the truth. So what are the three things that you do? I can share what I do.
You go first.
I go first.
Yeah.
I've been in the habit of journaling.
Yeah.
The past 3 years. Why do I feel certain ways? And I do it every day. I meditate, I pray. So what I'm doing is I just focus on my breathing, I empty my mind. And I would say that's probably the strongest sense that I get of who I am. And then in a very unforceful way, I would just flow, which takes discipline as well, to just go and flow on where my interests take me. And that's
intention.
Yeah.
I think that's probably something I can relate to. I've been on a bit of a health journey, so I started being a lot more active, started training a little bit more. So body-wise, just being more, just more move.
I can see you've worked out.
Just more movement.
Did you work out before this interview?
I did not. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays.
This is like sugar-free ice cream, right?
No, it's not. That was very good, by the way. So I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I can't say that I'm journaling or meditating because my wife would go, "You're not doing that." so I can't say this on camera. But I am reading and listening to a lot of podcasts, specifically on kind of mental. I am working a little bit. I think if I have to look back at my life over the last few years, and I think after COVID specifically, I think a lot of people have been struggling with mental health. I would definitely say that I'm one of those people. I think in general, there's been a sense of like moving into like anxious and a lot of anxiety. I think it's very natural for people to be there after what we've gone through the last few years. That's probably been my biggest challenge. I know for a fact that journaling is something I have to do as well as meditating. I spend time in my own thoughts and with my own thoughts when I'm physically active or walking or I do some of that kind of walking meditation. But I always try and do something active because I've got quite a busy mind, and I think my mind is probably something that I need to work on calming a little bit more. Yeah. That narrative and that dialogue with myself is something that I'm working on.
So that's what I meant with the rabbit hole. You know, once you do one thing, once you start keeping your mind healthy, you got the courage to get out of bed earlier to go train. Once you train, you feel great. And you feel like you either want to sing a song or chant something, you know, because you've got that amazing feeling. So that Holy Trinity forms a unit, okay?
Yeah.
I'm at a stage now where I don't even do sugar anymore, except for this ice cream that we just did, because everything just went from one thing to another thing. I got forced into it because I had to make a serious decision in my life. So I don't drink. With no drinking came, listen, I'm going to quit smoking, use substances. I was kind of forced into that decision, but it still opened that rabbit hole, you know, of change and of finding my authentic self. So
I don't think it ever stops.
It shouldn't stop.
It never stops, like finding who you are, because.
So maybe that's why people don't know who they are, because they're lazy.
I think so.
I think that's the beauty of life, is to embrace that effort. That, you know, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep on going, you know?
Yep. It feels like it also feels like it's almost a lot easier when you're younger, because you don't really think about it too much. And I think that's also something that I've been working on, is that to trust that where you are in life at the moment is exactly where you need to be. Like, you are here exactly where you are because there's a reason for it. So whatever happened to you in the past meant to happen to get you to this place, exactly who you are and where you are now. And if you're not happy with who you are now, then it's probably not the end of your journey. You know that old saying, if it's going to be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end. That whole concept of like, you're always, it's really bad for me. I've got no cash. My family's cash strapped. I've got to sell my house. That's not, you don't have to kill yourself. This is not the end. It's just a very tough chapter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably something that it's always something that you're working towards.
Yeah.
Because you're not the same person you were 6 months ago, even 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the one thing that
Winston Churchill said, you can't judge a person because you'll never get it right, because yesterday is gone, you know?
Yeah, because you were judging someone on the past.
On the past. Yeah.
On what they did or what happened or that kind of stuff.
Listen, thank you so much for joining us on the ice cream interviews.
That was great.
I think we need to continue this conversation, and then
Easy. No problem.
I love what you're saying is accept where you are, or be grateful for where you are, breathe where your feet are, and
Get more sunlight, take your shoes off, walk barefoot.
exactly.
That's a good start.
And let your little light shine. Eh? Live simply, travel light, and always see the wonder.
Yeah,
Love you to bits, man. Love you to the moon and back.
It's great to have you back in Melkbos.